I offer this exploration of true love not as a fleeting emotion, but as a profound encounter within the psyche, where the soul meets its mirror in the other. Love, in its truest form, is a sacred interplay of archetypes, a dance of the conscious and unconscious, guiding us toward individuation, the realization of the self. These 7 signs, drawn from the depths of the collective unconscious, illuminate the essence of true love as a transformative force, binding 2 souls not merely to each other, but to the eternal. Let us journey into the mysteries of the heart, where love reveals itself as a path to wholeness. 1. The resonance of the anima and animus, what we often call love, in its deepest expression, is not born of the ego's longing, but of the psyche's mysterious orchestration. It is the anima, the soul image of the feminine within a man, and the animus, the spirit of the masculine within a woman, that yearn for recognition, not merely in the other, but in themselves. These inner figures are not illusions or fantasies, but archetypes of the unconscious. And when the outer beloved evokes them, something ancient stirs within, a memory not of this life, but of the soul's journey toward completion. In that moment of meeting, you do not simply fall in love with another person. You fall into yourself, you glimpse the lost half of your psyche reflected in their eyes, you feel the ache of separation and the promise of reunion. This is no ordinary connection. It is alchemical. It is the spark that ignites individuation. But this sacred encounter is not meant to bind you to the other. It is meant to awaken you. The beloved becomes a mirror, not a possession. Through them, you see what your soul has denied, buried, or forgotten. You do not love them because they are perfect. You love them because they bring you closer to your own mystery. This is why such love feels both exhilarating and terrifying. It calls you to grow, to integrate what you have exiled, to become whole, and the tragedy lies in mistaking this soul encounter for mere romance. When the beloved is reduced to a role or fantasy, the sacred becomes profane. The anima turns into projection. The animus becomes an illusion. Love turns to longing, and union gives way to suffering. But if you can hold the tension, if you can honor the resonance without trying to possess it, you begin the great work, the inner marriage, the harmonization of masculine and feminine within. And in that sacred union, you no longer seek wholeness in another, but in yourself. For the true beloved is not only outside of you, they are also the gatekeeper within. 2. The embrace of the shadow. If the anima and animus summon the light of the soul, it is the shadow that anchors love in truth. Real love, love that endures, transforms, and liberates, is not born in perfection. It is born in the dark. It is forged in the fire of what we fear, what we hide, and what we deny in ourselves and each other. The shadow is the rejected self, the buried pain, the repressed anger, the unspoken shame. It is the part of the psyche that we exile to maintain the illusion of being good or lovable. And yet, without integrating the shadow, there can be no true union, only fantasy, projection, and pretense. In most relationships, the shadow is projected. We accuse the beloved of being cold, selfish, too needy, too distant, when these are often the very traits we disown in ourselves. But in a love rooted in depth and awareness, we do not turn away from the shadow. We turn toward it. We recognize it as a sacred threshold. To embrace another's shadow is to say, I see the parts of you you cannot yet love, and I will not flee from them. It is to offer presence, not judgment. Witness, not rescue, and it is through this courageous witnessing that something alchemical occurs. Love becomes a vessel for healing, not through fixing, but through holding. But this embrace must be mutual. For love to survive the depths, both must be willing to meet their own darkness, to sit with discomfort, to weep over old wounds, to name what was once unspeakable. This is not romantic. It is holy. It is the slow, painful path of individuation made visible in relationship. And here lies the paradox. The more you embrace the shadow, yours and theirs, the more luminous the love becomes, not because the pain disappears, but because it is no longer hidden, because what was once unconscious is now part of the living whole. The beloved is not a light to blind you from your darkness. They are the one who says, I see your darkness, and I still choose you. And in that acceptance the soul exhales. It is no longer striving to appear perfect. It is free to be whole. Love, then, is not the absence of flaws. It is the sacred willingness to hold them together. Synchronicity as a guiding force. There are moments when the soul whispers through the veil of time, moments when the invisible hand of the psyche moves the outer world to reflect the inner one. These are not accidents. They are synchronicity, events that defy logic yet pulse with meaning, as if the universe has conspired to affirm what the heart already knows. In the realm of true love, synchronicity becomes a language. You meet a stranger and feel you've known them for centuries. You think of them and they call. A song plays with words that echo your unspoken ache. Two lives, once distant, begin to move as if choreographed by some unseen intelligence. These are not fantasies, they are symbols, glimpses into the deeper order of things. Carl Jung called this the causal connecting principle, where the psyche and the cosmos mirror each other. When love emerges from the soul rather than the ego, the universe responds not with spectacle, but with subtle orchestration. It arranges chance encounters, repeating numbers, shared dreams, or quiet recognitions that seem to whisper, "This is not random. This is meant." Such synchronicities arise not from desire, but from alignment. When the soul is ready, when you have walked through your shadow, listened to your dreams, and honored your inner voice, the external world begins to reflect that transformation. The beloved appears not as a wish fulfilled, but as a mirror of your becoming. They arrive not to complete you, but to accompany your unfolding. But beware, synchronicity is not a promise of permanence. It is a signpost, not a destination. It does not guarantee a life together, but rather marks a moment of soul recognition, a convergence of two journeys briefly braided into one. To cling to the sign is to miss the message. The true task is to receive the meaning, not to possess the person. In this way, love becomes a spiritual compass. The presence of synchronicity affirms that the relationship is not just personal, but archetypal, woven into the fabric of the collective unconscious. You are not merely falling in love. You are participating in a myth, living out a pattern older than time. So when the signs appear, when the world bends subtly toward your heart's rhythm, pause. Do not dismiss them as coincidence. Instead, ask, what is my soul showing me? What path am I being invited to walk? For in the dance of synchronicity, love becomes more than emotion. It becomes guidance. It becomes destiny whispering through the cracks in reality, leading you not just to another, but deeper into your own truth. 4. The alchemy of mutual transformation. Love, when true, is not a sanctuary of comfort. It is a crucible. In its fire, the false burns away, and the essential is revealed. Two souls, drawn not merely by attraction, but by the deeper law of the psyche, meet not to complete each other, but to transmute one another. This is the sacred alchemy of love, not to possess, but to purify. In Jungian thought, alchemy is not just an ancient science. It is the map of transformation, the soul's descent into chaos, and its ascent into wholeness. So too in love, we enter the Negrido, the blackness of confusion and shadow, where illusions are shattered. The other becomes the mirror, the catalyst, the flame, and in that flame all that is false begins to fall away. You see, the beloved is not here to rescue you, nor to be your perfection. They are your sacred opponent, your co-conspirator in becoming. Their presence evokes not just joy but confrontation. They stir the waters of your unconscious. They awaken the inner child, the forgotten trauma, the unmet longing, and in this they offer a profound gift, the chance to heal, to grow, to integrate what you have abandoned within. True love is not passive. It demands that you see your projections and call them back. It demands that you hold space for your partner's becoming as fiercely as your own. One day you may see them in the fullness of their vulnerability, or broken, uncertain. And instead of turning away, you remain, not to fix, but to witness. That is love's alchemy, presence without possession, fire without destruction. In return, they do the same for you. They meet your darkness with compassion. They hold the mirror steady when you are too afraid to look. They do not idolize your light nor run from your shadow. In this sacred exchange, both are changed, not into something else, but into who they truly are. This is the path of individuation walked in parallel. You are not becoming one in a merging that erases, but in a dance that honors difference. Your union is not the end of your solitude, but the refinement of it. Each step forward in love is a step inward toward the self. Do not be afraid when love tests you, when it dissolves the persona, confronts the ego, and opens wounds you thought long healed. These are signs of the work. The alchemists knew that gold does not come easily. It emerges only after chaos, only after surrender. So ask yourself, what part of me is being called to the fire? What part of them am I being asked to hold, not control? If both souls say yes to this mutual labor, then love becomes more than relationship. It becomes revelation. For in this alchemy, the ego is not destroyed but transformed. The lovers are not consumed but refined. And the gold they seek is not in each other, but in the sacred space between them, the space where two psyches meet in truth, the sacrifice of the ego in the realm of true love. Something must die, not the bond, not the self, but the ego's illusion of control. Love, when it is sacred, does not cater to possession or pride. It does not flatter the false self. It strips it gently, painfully, with divine precision, because the soul knows what the ego cannot, that only in surrender can something greater emerge. The ego, that tireless architect of self-importance, enters love-seeking validation. It wants to be adored, obeyed, understood without having to understand. It craves permanence in a world of change, superiority in a bond that requires humility. But true love cannot sustain such posturing. It breaks it down, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. Carl Jung wrote that the goal is not perfection, but wholeness, and wholeness demands that we lay down the persona, the roles we perform to be accepted. In love, we are asked to show our truer face, flawed, fearful, yearning, and in doing so, we call forth the same courage in the one before us. This is not a domination of one by the other. It is not the sacrifice of selfhood, but of self-centeredness. You are not asked to disappear. You are asked to descend, to leave the throne of the ego and meet the other eye to eye, soul to soul, and it is here, in this humility, that love reveals its true form, not as desire, but as devotion. You no longer love to be loved. You love because your soul recognizes itself in the other, because something ancient and eternal has been awakened through their presence. This sacrifice is not easy. The ego resists. It tightens its grip when it feels exposed. It bristles at compromise, panics at the idea of merging without conquest. But the deeper self knows, love is not submission, it is transformation. To love truly is to say, I am willing to be changed by this. I am willing to let go of being right, to soften where I have hardened, to listen where I have spoken too much, to see where I have refused to look. In this act of surrender, something astonishing happens. The self begins to rise, not as a conqueror, but as a quiet center. It guides, not controls. It offers wisdom, not demands, and the relationship becomes a vessel for individuation, for the sacred unfolding of both souls in tandem. You stop asking, what can I take from this love, and begin asking, what can we become together, if we dare to let go of who we thought we were. This is the sacrifice of the ego. It is not a funeral, it is a wedding. Not the union of two masks, but of two souls, each bearing their truth, standing in the fire, unafraid to burn. 6. The presence of the archetypal beloved true love is rarely just a matter of chance chemistry or compatibility. Beneath the emotional intensity and magnetic pull of romance, Carl Jung believed there often lies something deeper, a meeting with the archetypal beloved. This is not merely an attraction to another person's personality or charm, but a soul-level recognition that stirs the very roots of the psyche. In Jungian terms, the archetypal beloved is an eternal image that exists within the collective unconscious. It transcends culture, age, and identity, appearing in myths, dreams, and art across centuries. When this archetype is constellated in real life, when someone evokes this inner image within us, it can feel as though we've encountered the divine in human form. The archetypal beloved speaks directly to our unconscious through symbols and feelings rather than reason. Suddenly, the beloved seems larger than life, a mirror of some lost part of ourselves. They reflect not just our ideal partner, but our anima or animus, the inner feminine in men and the inner masculine in women. This projection is not a flaw, but a natural psychological process. Through this mirroring, we are drawn toward wholeness, compelled to engage in a relationship that awakens our deepest longings and fears. However, this projection also carries risk. It can easily lead to illusion, where we fall in love not with the actual person, but with our own idealized image of them. This is why Jung warned that relationships based solely on archetypal projection are prone to collapse once reality sets in. The divine glow fades, and the individual is revealed in their full human complexity, flawed, wounded, changing. If we cling to the ideal and resist the real, disappointment and disillusionment follow. But if we remain conscious and allow the projection to dissolve, a more grounded and genuine love can emerge. True love, then, is not the worship of a perfect figure, but the integration of the archetype with the real human being. This means honoring the sacred energy that brought two souls together, while also making space for the messy, everyday reality of relationship. It's about seeing the beloved as both a vessel of the divine and a unique, imperfect individual with their own journey. Only then can love become a crucible for growth and mutual transformation. When the archetypal beloved is consciously engaged, the relationship becomes a spiritual path. The partners reflect each other's inner worlds, triggering both light and shadow. Joy is deepened, but so is pain. Conflict becomes a catalyst for insight, and passion becomes fuel for creative evolution. This love is not about escape or fantasy, but about awakening to oneself, to the other, and to the greater mysteries of life. Such relationships often come with synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that Jung saw as signs of the self guiding our path. You may dream of the person before you meet them, feel an uncanny familiarity at first glance, or encounter repeated symbols that seem to affirm the connection. These moments signal that something larger is at play, that the love you feel is not merely personal, but part of a deeper pattern in the collective unconscious. Yet even with all this mystery and intensity, true love does not lift us out of our humanity, it anchors us in it. The challenge is to hold both the mythic and the mundane, to let the archetypal beloved elevate the soul without losing the grounded presence of the real person standing before us. This is the heart of the Jungian view. To love deeply, one must be willing to face the inner world, to navigate the territory of dreams and archetypes, and to see through the eyes of the soul as well as the senses. In this way, the archetypal beloved is not an end but a beginning, a sacred mirror through which we come to know ourselves more fully and walk the path of individuation not alone, but in conscious, transforming union. The union of opposites at the heart of Carl Jung's psychology lies a profound truth. Wholeness is born not through perfection, but through the union of opposites. This idea is nowhere more powerfully embodied than in the experience of true love. When two people come together in a conscious, evolving relationship, they are not merely companions. They are partners in an alchemical process, mirroring the sacred reconciliation of masculine and feminine, light and shadow, spirit and matter, self and other. Jung called this mystical marriage the conjunctio, an alchemical term for the merging of disparate elements into a unified whole. In true love, each partner becomes both mirror and muse. The masculine may be drawn to the anima, the inner feminine reflected in the beloved. The feminine may see in her partner the animus, the inner masculine, given form. But this is not a simple projection. It is a call to integrate those inner energies within oneself. Love, then, becomes not just affection or desire, but a profound psychological initiation. Through the beloved, you are invited to reconcile the dualities within your own psyche. This union of opposites is not always peaceful. It can be turbulent, like fire meeting water, because it brings unconscious material to the surface, wounds, defenses, forgotten longings. The friction between partners is often the very crucible in which healing and transformation occur. Instead of seeing conflict as a threat to love, Jungian thought views it as a necessary part of individuation. Every disagreement, every emotional trigger, can be an invitation to deeper self-awareness and mutual growth, if approached consciously. As this union deepens, the relationship itself becomes a living symbol of the integrated self. It radiates balance and meaning into the world, not through outward perfection, but through inward authenticity. In a world fractured by dualities, masculine vs. feminine, logic vs. emotion, control vs. surrender, true love offers a rare glimpse of synthesis. It shows that opposites need not compete, but can dance together in sacred tension, giving rise to a third thing, wholeness. In this sense, the beloved is not merely someone to be with. They are someone to become with. You do not lose yourself in them, but through the friction and fusion of opposites, you become more yourself. And in that becoming, the relationship transcends the personal. It becomes archetypal, a vessel for the divine play of yin and yang, animus and anima, conscious and unconscious. Such love touches eternity. It speaks the language of the soul and reflects the great pattern within which all individuation unfolds. When two people, aware of this deeper process, enter into relationship not to escape themselves, but to meet themselves more fully through the other, they step into a sacred dynamic. They are not just lovers or companions. They are co-creators of meaning, architects of the inner and outer world. Thus, the union of opposites in true love is not an end, but a beginning, a threshold through which the soul walks toward its highest potential. And those who dare to love in this way, who embrace both the shadow and the light within and without, do not just find a partner. They find themselves.